Hey everyone, it's Kloo. Welcome back to some more So Dungeon. So today we're going to be trying to tackle the boss rush, but a few things to go over first. So for boss rush, this looks like the best team to use, mainly because of the double accessory slots. Because the idea is to run craft, both the, not that one, what is it? The sleep charm, so we need 6 of them. Oh, one too many. Oh well. And there's one other that we can't actually make because we need gold ore. It's a bit unfortunate. Easy fix. We'll just do a mining run quickly. But yeah, so you need the status prevention. That's the only way I can see going far enough within boss rush. I have also blown through the majority of my tickets or credits. Leveling things up. So Junkie's almost 50. I think we got Nurse to 50, and then I was working on the Mystic and Huntress, because they're the main ones I tend to use, because of the mana regen on the Mystic, healing on the Nurse, and then the Huntress, because they can scale. So we'll just quickly, hopefully get some gold ore. We need 6. Is that 100? No, that was 1,000. Good. 5's fine. Don't need to worry about any of this, just make sure we got some gold ore. 10, perfect. So we need the dark amulet, was it? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, and I have to re-hire everyone. What was it? It was definitely a nurse, huntress, I think it was a mystic, and then the hero classes, the wizard, Tamanona, and Dark Lord. Tamanona first, followed by Huntress, the Nurse. I think that's the order I want. So yeah, so everyone needs one of each of the accessories, that way they can't be stunned. Because sleep and the other status effects are probably the biggest thing within the bosses, like their main mechanics. That said, for the nurse, I think the sleep is more important than stone. Would be good if there's a way to get an extra slot. I think if there's one thing I could change would be the... where is it? Sorry, in relics. So here, for getting level 50, get Relic of the Nurse. Pretty sure in So Dungeon 1, it gave a special bonus. Here it's just obviously stats, maybe something different, but it looks just like stats, so not a big thing. Generally you just want to go back and forth between that, mana and HP. So it's just mana and HP. It's an attack as well, and attack. So, and attack. Because these obviously affect everyone, and then the relics are specific. And I'm going to figure out equipment and we'll come back. So that's pretty much it. The Dark Lord is probably the weakest link at the moment. I'm not quite sure how much his skill does. It might be worth just running a second Huntress. I'm not running the Huntress for scaling. It's mainly for the cooldown reduction. Because that enables a lot of the other skills. For instance, the Wizard can always use Eviscerate, which is 1.2. Tamanona is 9 now instead of 10. Big deal. I'm not sure if they stack. If they do stack, then it's probably worth just doing Tamanona, Huntresses, and maybe one Nurse. But we'll go with this for now. But yeah, so until I can craft some of the better accessories, the Dark Lord is pretty much the weakest link. We'll just give him 10 attack, I guess. Does that go well? I did. Looked like he was, yeah, 95, so fairly weak compared to everyone else. We'll see how much his attack does. Because there's one fight, I think, where there's multiple enemies. Other than that, just give it a go. So he does 105 and a fairly slow animation. Okay, and the Tavern Owner does not work. That's good to know. So a few things that definitely need to be changed. One, get rid of the Dark Lord, because his animation's way too slow. Nurse and the Mystic probably. How much are you doing? You're doing 245, so Wizard's good enough to keep. Yeah, so it'll probably just be Nurse, Mystic, Wizard, and then a bunch of Huntresses for the double trinket slots. Because yeah, at 105, the Huntress auto attack is just far greater. I do just want to make sure that the Tavern owner can't use his ability. I don't think it said anything about not working on bosses. It's 5, so 9 would be the next time he procs. I think it's 8 credits per boss, so 40 every 100 is 80. I think it's about 700 for a run with the Tavern owner. Also, feel like we'd be better off sort of pushing the dungeon a bit more and working on equipment and essence. Essence is definitely the big thing. It does appear though that trading in gold for essence is still going to be far quicker than trying to grind essence. So yeah, everything in the game just essentially goes, yeah, so it doesn't work. It goes back to just needing gold. The chef might be worth subbing in with the cuts the health in a quarter. So that could, especially later on, take off a lot of health. But you'd have to really stock up on resources. We also need to do this for the green shards, since they're used for plating. So I think Withering is the main ability or stat you want to sort of stack. It's meant to reduce health from what I read. And also this pet is obviously the wrong, since we're not getting any essence. Not optimal, I just wanted to get a feel for it. Might take a pause and try to come up with something a bit better. Should be able to clear all 10 quite easily, looks like. You definitely also want the magic clock to speed this up. A lot of the boss animations are quite slow. So yeah, so the chef could easily do the most damage. I'm sure I remember when I first played the Dark Lord was really great, but he just seems awful. Like, 4 party members and he's doing 100 damage. And I don't think there's any accessories that really emphasize increasing attack power. We'll have to see. It's also going to be a bit slow. We're sort of losing in terms of his healing, because we're doing 300 per turn through the healing, I think it was. Oh, you didn't take there, that's good. It's also interesting to see that he's not using, well maybe he is, I wasn't paying too much attention to the weapon ability. Because looking at these scripts, I'd assume strongest attack encompasses group attacks. But it looks as though group attacks and strongest attack are completely separate. It's a bit of a shame, because it does 1.2 times attack damage, so essentially it should always be used, because it is the strongest attack, regardless of how many people are available to hit. I'll have to do this manually if I want to beat the barbecue, so you have to take out the barbecue first. probably heal as well. I mean, everyone else seems pretty much fine. The Dark Lord just has no health, because there's no way to really gain stats. Maybe with the Relic? But then is there a point to leveling him up over anyone else? Lots of things to think about. Anyway, the goals for this. So obviously I still want to get to level 1 million, be it on camera, off camera, because at least it's going to be a long grind. Other than that, level up every character, try to get all the unique equipment, all achievements. Possibly. There's a few that are not difficult, I just can't be bothered. Like, I think it was stun, something, and back hit. Stun, mark, and back hit, which is the Blade Master, the Huntress, and then I guess you could either burp or just have someone on the other side. That is essentially a comp I don't really use. Because you have to ask yourself, the marking, 1.5 times damage. Depending on the comp, I'm sure it's worthwhile, but you'd have to have your attacking Huntress behind your marking Huntress. And then since you have the Mystic and Nurse, you're not getting their hits. So it's 1.5 on probably 3 party members. So it does that outscale just, you know, gearing a single Huntress up. Same with like the Carpenter's Sharpen, there's a worth stacking buffs and wasting a turn. So the whole idea is, in a single turn, if you can beat the enemy, you want to do it. You don't want to set up and have to do it over 2 turns, because then you take damage. And the more you can do without taking damage, then you could potentially have the Nurse and get further. A lot of calculations that I'd rather just talk about than actually do. Well, I've got to beat 100, and I'll probably call it quits. And we'll work on something else, probably leveling up the remaining characters. Or figuring out a better comp. Also not sure if the Nurse's healing caps out. I haven't looked at it too much, but it kind of seems like it does. Considering it's only healing 100. I don't know, the regen relic caps out 100 as well. So it does seem like the method of choice is damage. And probably the best comp would be Huntress with the AoE. Well, you want the Tavern Keeper as well. So Tavern Keeper, Huntress, and 3 Carpenters, since they do the most physical damage. Then you do risk running out of mana. I think there was a mana relic. Yeah, I think we'll take a look at things and just make this more of a bit of a talking episode. We should be able to do this. I mean, it's so good if the Tavern worked. But it's good to know. It's funny, the body is very far down. It's kind of sad looking at this artwork. This Super Dark Lord has beheaded all the other ones. So I remember it being he absorbed their powers, but actually to see, it never clicked that these were their heads. stun's annoying. If the nurse got stunned, we wouldn't have been able to do this. Yeah, so cleared 100. Definitely thought we'd go a bit further. It's alright. Exit. We'll take a look at a few things. So yeah, so we got 80 and 1. Bit sad. Right, so in terms of relic, we've got health regen, caps at 100, which is equivalent to the nurse. There doesn't look like there is mana regen. But in here, this is keys, status, resistance, reflection, or they all have caps, don't they? 100, max 52. Trying to do the math in my head. Every 4 is 1%. That's 13%. It's a weird number. Keys. I guess just upping their mana pool, I guess, is how you're meant to compensate. Same with health. Gold is still the big one we want to sort of look at. Then also request this one. Get the 100 caps, which essentially means that the 5 plus has to be higher than 1500 for us to make anything back. If we take a look at the characters, so Carpenter for instance, they get HP regen, but no mana regen looks like. Which means they don't really have a way to sustain. Because Nail It does. Plus mana, I assume? If we could find one. Yeah, it costs 2 mana. Bit of iffy there. What else? And then the ideal comp was Tavern Owner. Do you get mana? Seems like you only get HP as well. And then the Huntress does not either. Huntress is definitely the main tool you want to use for getting far. And we probably do want to put Mark back on and just start running double. So that bottom Mark should go. Where should Mark go? There. The issue I have with Mark is it only works on single target. Is there any way? Because this is essentially, if any enemy doesn't have a status effect, it's going to use Mark. I'd rather it so it detects a single enemy. Because otherwise, it just makes the Huntress obsolete. And the whole point of marking makes the Huntress's ability to scale horrible. Because if we're taking a turn to mark, essentially, if you have 1 Huntress in your party, you're always going to mark. If you have 2, one's going to mark on seeds that have... enemy pods is the correct term. Enemy pods that have 1, when they have 2, both are going to mark 3, then obviously both are going to mark. So the only way you could get away with it is if you had all Huntresses. So the extra damage doesn't seem worth it. Same with Sharpen. Taking the turn to gain the buff to deal guaranteed crit. If it was, give a crit to someone else, possibly. But I think this idea of marking is not going to pay off. So who do we want? So again, I feel the ideal comp will be the Tavern Owner, Huntress, and then I guess just 4 Carpenters to really do the maximum damage. The idea being you want the Huntress using the Widowmaker, so it still scales as much. And And then these guys just have as much damage as possible. What could you do with Tavernona? Probably set up so he uses the Ozian armor with the Ganalar staff, and then magic damage. Would that be worth it? Because you still just want the Huntress. Essentially, yeah, this is wrong too. You want the Huntress going first, because you want the Huntress gaining as much scaling as possible, then the Tavernona dealing with pods that the Huntress can't kill, so he comes into effect later on, rather than early game where you're gaining the scaling, and then Carpenters to finish everyone off. I think we'll gear up and we'll try and we'll see if this is useful for pushing. One really good thing to note is the Widowmaker's skill does not require mana. That makes it really strong. If this had a special ability, it would be good. But yeah, so I've equipped the Tavernona with the Ozian armor, so he's got an AoE, and everyone else is sharpened. And I'm gonna start from the start, and just leave it in the background and see how far we can go. I'm curious to see if this can scale enough where it actually clears all the way to 2000, but I have my doubts. We'll see. We'll see how good this comp is, because any other comp I've tried just on, for instance, quick battles, haven't got past 1000 consistently, so it'd be interesting to see if we figured out a comp that can.